Okay, this is a happy accident that I'm real excited about, and I just wanted to share it with you. We never know what's going to happen with polymer clay, especially when we build canes and we just start building them from old canes like I did this. I just got out a whole lot of my old canes and decided I'd put them together. And this is how I looked at this as I worked with it. And I thought, oh, that's not going to go well. We've got a set of eyes here and a set of eyes here. But it was already in there before I actually really noticed it. I was looking at color concentration and trying to get contrast in different colors and stuff. So I put it together. It was quite a bit larger. And when I was reducing it and turning it, I had cane caps on both sides. And the large ones aren't really as clear as the other ones. But, I mean, it's okay. But I wasn't watching what I was doing with this. I was watching how it was reducing and stuff, especially with it being all old canes. So I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it, but I thought I'd leave it that large. And I got out my Lucy slicer and started slicing through it to see how many slices I could get so I could have some idea of what I wanted to do with it. And I put it in the slicer this way. So when the slicing blade went down through it, it actually fell this way. And I picked it up and I turned it around and I had an elephant. Here's his ears out here. Here's the top of his head. Those two eyes and the way those canes fit in, they actually look like eyeballs. Let that focus. See right here where there's like a little white in the eye? These half circle canes that was a round cane that I cut into, looks like the trunks. This was a huge leaf cane, and I left that leaf cane a little bit larger. This one and this one was also leaf canes, and I left those a little bit larger. Not real small, but not as long as this one. This cane was a tiger stripe cane, and then the rest of it was all little canes that I put together and I had laying around and I just stuck in there. But I was really surprised to see the elephant. So he doesn't fit on the bowl that I was wanting to use, that I thought would look real cool. It wasn't quite tall enough to get this large cane in there. So I'm going to have to go back to the bowl that I've been using, and it fits right around the rim all the way down to the bottom is where the little tip comes in. So I had to decide I've got to put a cover underneath it. I've got to do a base sheet. So I looked around at all my clay and I thought, you know, red to a yellow with orange in the center and all different gradients in between would look really cool with this. And so that's what I'm going to do. I just cut it. I buy these colors in a pound. These is Primo from Sculpey, and I buy them in pound blocks, and I just cut some chunks off and put them together, and we'll see if I have enough to go around the bowl like I've been working on, like the translucent bowl and the gold bowl. That's the same bowl I'm going to use for this one. So let me get this Skinner blend done and I'll be back. Here's my Skinner blend. You can see the yellow going into the orange, going into the red. And I rolled it out on a number 5. I believe I'm going to put a sheet of translucent clay on the bowl first. And I measured, and it takes, it takes 8 of the elephants to go around my bowl. So I made a template the same size as my cane was. So I will cut triangles this way and place them on either side of the elephant canes, and that will give me color everywhere, and that also will go on a translucent backing. So the inside of the bowl will be translucent, and then the outside will be all of the designs. So let me get the translucent ready. Let me get things cut out, because I don't really want this video to be really long. I just wanted to share it with you as I went. So let me get the bowl covered and stuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the bowl covered in Primo Translucent, and I'm working the bubbles out, the air bubbles. I put another bottom on this one, and this tool of Christy Friesen's makes this so much easier. You can go right in that groove, and the curve both ways on this tool fits right in there. And then I can take the wider end of it and go on the outside and on top and smooth all of it down. And if I need to, I can go back again in here. I'm still working the air bubbles out, like I said. And if I need to, which I probably will, especially with this being translucent, and I rolled this out on a number 3 on my atlas, and this is on a number 5, so that'll give me a stable base for my bowl, with it being a little bit on the larger side. And if you have air bubbles that you've got to get out, let me find one. I've worked on this for a little while. I don't know if I know I've got some left. I just have to find them. And it's easier to see them in the light on camera. Okay, looks like there's one right here. Instead of taking a needle tool and poking a hole there, let's just take an X-Acto knife and slice a little slice, because it's so much easier to put back together and hide a slice than it is a hole. Just work your air out. Here's one right here. Your air will come right out. You just push on it and then blend it back. And you can't see where you poked it. So that's easier than poking it with a hole. So I'm going to, my next step here is to put my elephant canes right around the top, and they'll come right down to the bottom edge of this. And I don't want to get any air trapped in them either. And I do want to keep the line straight. Because I'm going to use my template and cut from my Skinner blend and put beside each one and have them alternating. One will be an elephant coming down, and one will be the Skinner blend of the red, orange, and yellow. I just want to explain what I've done. I didn't think it was necessary to go through the whole thing and record it, since I've done 2 bowls like this in the last couple of videos. One was the translucent bowl and one was the gold bowl, and this was the exact same bowl that I used. But I put down my elephant triangles, and then I cut my Skinner blend triangles, and I put them in here, and then I joined them together. And as you can see, I'm rolling my small cane bender over. Now, I didn't have enough to do yellow at the widest point of my triangles, so I alternated them. I put the yellow there and brought that up to orange, and the yellow's on this one going down to red. So I've worked as many of the air bubbles out as I can get out. I've smoothed my edges. Before I bake this, I'm going to use my burnishing tool and put something over the sides of the bowl. And I'm going to burnish all this down real smooth. And make sure they're all joined together, because if not, they're going to come apart when I bake this bowl and it cools and I try to take it off of here. If you don't have your seams together, they'll just fall apart. On the bottom, my translucent is showing, and I had this little cane laying here, and it one I'm going to use in my next bunch of canes together. Hard telling what I'll get next time, but I just cut some slices off of it and put it down just around the edges. It has some of the same colors in it as the elephant does, so that's why I thought that matched up pretty well. I took my Christy freezing tool and I went around and smoothed them all down and got them all into place. Then I put my press and seal on there, whatever type of paper, and I burnished it as well. So let me go through real quick and get these sides burnished. Okay, out of my Skinner blend that I had left, I cut a red big circle for my bottom. And I'm going to try not to stretch this. I just want to lay that right over there. And I'm going to work out my air bubbles. And I'm going to do that with my burnishing tool. I haven't put my sides down yet, so they're still loose and I can get any air out through them. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to press it down so it'll set flat. It gives me my flat edge on the bottom. I am going to spritz a little bit of alcohol onto my baby wipe. And I'm just going to wipe this down. It'll help smooth it out. And it's almost ready to bake. It needs my signature stamp on it. And there's my apples. Right there. So this is ready to bake now. Here's my bowl out of the oven. This is the inside with the translucent clay. And I didn't expect you to be able to see the elephant cane so much in here, but you can still see it and it looks cool. This is the outside. It's bright and brilliant. But I had an air hole right there. You can see it on the inside, and it goes all the way through to the outside. So I was going to fix it, and I thought, you know, this may happen to you as well, so I will show you how I'm going to fix it. And I have some of my blend left. And let me cut a even straight piece here. And I'm going to take my liquid clay. Always stir up your liquid clay. Always stir up your liquid clay. And because it is baked clay and I'm putting on raw clay, I'm going to put some liquid clay over this. I have a little tiny hole in there of the yellow, so I'm going to fill up that hole. I'm going to add enough clay until I can get this smooth. And I'm holding my finger in the hole on the opposite side. I want to go in because this is baked clay on the bowl. I can do this. Go in and scrape some of this off. Make it look like it was there all along. And I worked on this for a long time, hoping I had all those air bubbles out. But that one, I think, started on the inside, right where that bottom of the ledge of the bowl came down. Okay, we'll let that liquid clay set up just a minute. And hold that raw clay a little bit better. And there's some little, not really cracks or anything, but there isn't little cracks, there's just little not smooth places right around that ledge at the bottom. So I'll take my liquid clay and just brush it on around that bottom ledge. Smooth it out. Okay, so I've got my inside fixed there. And I'm going to work a little bit more on my outside. And then I'm going to rebake it for about 15 minutes at 275, and then we'll come back and see if it repaired okay. Okay, this is my bowl after I fixed the hole, wherever it was. I can't even, oh, it was right here. And it's fixed on the inside and the outside, and I did that with a liquid clay. Now this is the side that was on the bowl, the glass bowl. So this is the shininess that you get when it's when your clay's baked on glass or metal or ceramic tile or something. And with something like this, I like that. And I wanted sort of an antique-y look again. That's why I put the translucent clay in there to begin with. And I think I will put some some top glaze over it. And I'm going to put some top glaze over this. But first off, I need to sand the edges. And once again, Pandora's come to the rescue. This is her sanding pad. And it's just a little plexiglass stand with legs on it, little feet, and a sanding disc. And you can just put your stuff down and rub it over top. Now, a bowl's a little bit harder than a piece of jewelry, but it still works and it gets it all level. And you just take off the sides. And when you're doing this, because I'm not going to sand this part, when you're doing just the sides, you can use a little bit coarser sandpaper and not have to use the wet and dry. I'm just taking off that sharp edge. And when you purchase this from Tiny Pandora, you get an extra sanding disc with it. So it's really easy and makes sanding edges and stuff easier. The backs of pieces of jewelry. I know it's hard to see the difference in me turning the bowl over a little bit of the shiny spot. So while I had this out, I played and I made a little dish. And this is a little elephant dish. And I started out with using my scraps. And I put them together and I did a Natasha bead with them. And then I cut them all up in different angles and put them back together in a veneer. And that's what I used on the back. So this went against... This is my little white baking dish. This set on this. This is actually a soap dish from the Dollar Tree. And it makes a real nice sized little trinket bowl. So this is the front side, and I use my etch and pearl to get my pearly dots in there again. And it's just a crazy little bowl. And I hadn't put my Apple signature on the back to begin with, so I put it on his trunk and just highlighted it with a little bit of mica powder, just so you could see it. There's my apple. So I'm going to use satin glaze from Sculpey. And I haven't used this in a long time. I have actually forgotten I had it. So I'm going to slowly stir it so I can get it all combined back up. Because this has been sitting in my drawer probably, oh, I don't even remember last time I used it. 1.5 years, 2 years ago or more. So I don't want air bubbles in it, but I want to get it all activated all the way down at the bottom. And this probably isn't supposed to be this thick, but mine is. So I'm going to take a little out, and I'm going to add it to a little cup. Then I'm actually going to add a little water to it. Not a lot. Just want to thin it down a little bit. And then I'm going to take a big soft brush and we'll try it here on the dish. I just want to make sure I get it around all of those little dot bubble things. And I just made those out of scraps too that I had left over. And this is an air dry product. It's really bringing out the color in my elephant. And I just made a snake, marbleized all my scraps together, and made my rim. So this whole tray is made out of scraps except for the 2 elephant cane pieces I put on there. So, and just a suggestion about scraps, or when you finish a project or finish with a piece of project maybe, instead of crumpling that clay all back up into a ball, which we all have a tendency to do. That's one of my big things, is crumble it up in a ball, put it together and get it out of the way so I can keep on working. But a lot of times I end up going back to that clump of clay because I need it again. And that was the case with this one. Luckily, I remembered not to crumple up my red and yellow Skinner blend, because it was already laid out and laying on my other work table, and I was able to use it on here without disturbing it. And if I'd have crumpled it up, then I would have had to roll it back out, and it wouldn't have given me the Skinner blend look that you can barely see with this, because it was mostly a red and a dark orange that was left. But I just find that if we keep crumpling up our clay, it's just harder to reuse it. And 9 out of 10 times there's something that we need that leftover clay for. So try to remember to leave it out in a sheet rather than clumping it up. Now, since this has all these little bubbles on here, I have to make sure that it's not clumping up, the glaze is not clumping up right around each little bubble. So I'm just going back over and brushing over them again and looking for just too much of a buildup. So we'll set that aside to dry. And we'll start on our ball. And I think you'll be able to see the slight difference. See the difference between here and here? This has got the glaze on it. This is the satin glaze. This is not the gloss glaze. So right now it looks really shiny because it's wet. Once it dries, it won't be this shiny. Because I just didn't think this bowl needed a resin or a deep shine. I wasn't really looking for a high gloss shine. I just wanted a little bit of shine to make it look complete. I'm not quite finished, but I'm back. I thought of a couple of things I'd like to mention. Number one, anytime you use a brush and a product, I don't really care what the product is. If it's a glaze or deep shine or an acrylic paint or stuff, load your brush, and if there's a lot of product on there that doesn't need to be on there, it will drip off. So give it a chance to drip off. When you brush your bristles across the side of your container, you get air bubbles in your bristles, which then transfers to your piece. So that's a lot of how you get air bubbles in your finish. Also, make sure you have enough on your brush to let it glide over your surface. If your brush is too dry and you start adding pressure and scrubbing it in, it will add more air bubbles to your finished piece and show your brush streaks more. So just get enough product on and let it glide over there, over your surface. Part of it's already dry over here. This is a air dry water-based product. So that's how shiny this is, and I really like it. I still have this much elephant cane left. So I think there's going to be an elephant box coming up. I know I have some little paper mache boxes that I think he would look really cute on, so that may be a tutorial soon. But here's my finished dish. It's got the glaze all the way around it, the satin glaze by Sculpey. I left the back alone here because it was already shiny, and I took the glaze around my snake on the back. And here's the bowl. It's all finished as well. And it's just got a really nice sheen to it. Not an overpowering shine at all, just a really pretty sheen. I don't know what to do with the inside. I think I'm going to leave it because I like it, because that was the effect I was going for. I'm going to play more with translucence, and I have some Pardo that I want to play with and see what I can do with it. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. This was a fun, happy accident to find this elephant within all of those old canes. And I've got some more that I'm working on in another strange cane, putting a bunch of other ones all together. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this one. This week's Thanksgiving, so I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving if you're here with us in the U.S. And I think next week I'm going to start on different techniques and make more type of Christmas gifts and holiday gifts. So y'all stay tuned. Thanks for stopping by. Blessings.